Good, glad it worked out.
I had it on there for maybe 30 seconds. So if I would have just let it sit for a little bit longer before I cranked it, it probably would have actually cranked it over again. It did one cycle, and you did a dead stop, and I thought, oh, I was talking about the
Ready?
key.
You guys ready? Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the City of Oak Hill Commission meeting. I will now come to order. If you would please stand for a moment of silence and pledge allegiance. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hyatt. Vice Mayor Catagano. Commissioner Drollinger.
Here.
Mayor Ricky.
Here.
Commissioner Werning. Everybody's here.
Agenda modifications. Commission's opportunity to add, move, or remove items from the agenda.
I have something I'd like to say.
Okay. We're going to do that. Presentation. Announcements. Who's next? Anything else? Needs to be-
Readers' presentations, that's fine, I can do it next.
Okay. Is there any other items to be removed from the? No, she was adding, she wants to add a presentation to C.
Sorry, I'll try and speak so you can understand.
Any other?
I think that two things in light of this the resignation of the city administrator is this contract with Juliana Welch shouldn't be voted on until we decide on a permanent replacement. So it needs to be on there now. And also the Julie Wood. Because I don't think we should be looking to spend a bunch of money this time. So that's just what my thoughts on that.
So you suggest a table G2 and H1 from today's meeting?
Yes.
Okay. Do we need a motion to do that?
Yes, sure, I'll make a motion. I make a motion that we table the proposal from Julie Wood Services Incorporated and table the amended contract with Juliana Welch.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion from the council?
And that's until you hire somebody.
Do we have any questions or comments from the citizens? None at this time. Go for a vote.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Catagano.
Yes.
Commissioner Werning.
Yeah, as long as she's continuing to do the work she's currently doing until we hire somebody else, that's fine.
There was no caveat like that.
Okay, then I'll vote no on, H1.
Commissioner.
I'll agree with G2.
The motion was for both.
Right.
So we would have
So I'll vote no then.
okay.
Yes.
Commissioner Hyatt. Okay, so passes 4-1.
Any other modifications before we move forward? None at this time. Presentation C.
Okay. I gave the commission a copy of an email of a Facebook post. I would like to address an issue that was brought to my attention. It was about a Facebook post that Mr. Gibson posted post is directed mostly at Joe, but it also refers to Mark, Ricky, and myself. This post was sent to me from a concerned citizen, and as I'm not a member of this group, I wrote this right after seeing the post and would like to share my opinion and response. Mayor Gibson, 2025 Oak Hill Commission first 100 days. 3 newly elected commissioners are sworn in. They elect a vice mayor. This is required in our charter. Mr. Gibson, they proceed to request the firing of the city attorney. The newly elected vote to do so. Attorney Simpson charged the city over $80,000 for legal services during the 23-24 fiscal year. I'm not saying he didn't do the work for it, but that's your tax dollars that are paying for that. And I can only speak for myself, but after watching him for many years, I lost confidence in Mr. Simpson, so I voted to remove him. Mr. Gibson, they then requested the firing of the city administrator. They voted to do so. He then recommended to hire his longtime planner to fill this position with a salary of $90,000. They voted to do so. Under Mayor Gibson's 12 years in office, he hired two city administrators that had 0 prior experience. Con Evans was mowing the parks in the city hall when Mayor Gibson fired Miss Gurley and put her in as acting city clerk. The city then sent her to school, and the taxpayers paid for her certification. After Con resigned, the city looked for a replacement. After a long search, the commission came up with 2 final candidates. Mr. Barkley, a man with 25 years of experience as a city manager in both small and large towns, a very qualified person, and Mr. Adams that had no experience as a city manager. There was a 3-to-1 vote to hire Mr. Barkley until Mr. Gibson pulled out a piece of paper and said he lied to me, at which time Mr. Linlaw requested to change his vote. They then hired Mr. Adams, paying him a salary of $90,000 a year plus benefits for a total of approximately $128,000 a year, along with a 6-month severance package should he be fired. I'll note that no other city administrator had that in their contract. This administration negotiated and saved the city taxpayers 3 months of severance, the city citizens around $32,000. Janet came to the city with several years of experience, mostly as a planner, but also as a city administrator. We hired Janet as an interim administrator at the same salary Mr. Adams, but no benefits, saving taxpayers money. Mr. Gibson, so far they have failed to address issues that impact residents of the city. Hurricane season's just 4 months away. The citizens that live on Nancy Street and Nancy Cummings Park need relief from flooding. The new mayor said during his campaign that he had a plan to fix the flooding. Today, he has not revealed his plan. I ask, what did Mr. Gibson do during his 12 years to alleviate the flooding issue? Apparently nothing, because there's still flooding. Mr. Gibson had the same comment about hurricane seasons last year. Little was done. They did clean out part of the ditches for the sum of $17,000. The city of Oak Hill received just over $1 million from the federal government in the form of ARPA funds. This was to be used for infrastructure. Why didn't he do something about the flooding with these funds? Why didn't he fix the roads in our town with this money? What did he spend the money on? In the first 100 days, the mayor has met with county officials and will be going to the state shortly in an effort to get funding. We are trying to fix the problems. We've only had 100 days. You had 12 years. Mr. Gibson, the commission is now proceeding to discuss adopting several new fees: stormwater fee, park fee, and road fee. If they pass these fees, you will see an increase in your tax bill of about $360 per year. This tax is limited as to how the funds will be spent. New projects, no repairs per law. Janet wants to impose a stormwater fee of about $100 per household, which will be strictly used for flood control. He is correct about that. However, the park and road fees would be an impact fee charged to the developers only and would not be on the tax bill. Mr. Gibson, the city attorney at the direct of the commission has entered a guilty plea on the Sunshine case. The judge granted the guilty plea, and Garden Street development has been stopped. They are waiting to see if Adams Homes files any legal action against the city. This is true. Mr. Gibson goes on to say, the commission held a secret meeting without the citizens attending. The purpose of this meeting must be revealed per state law. So far, this has not happened. So much for keeping the citizens informed. The city attorney called a shade meeting to discuss the Garden Street issue and got direction from the commission as to what we wanted him to do. In the meeting, he explained to us and presented and gave us option. The commission gave him direction. As a former mayor of 12 years, you should know the law. By law, it is required that this be a closed meeting and that a stenographer has to be there to take a transcription, which there was. Only after the case is heard in court can the transcription be released. The stenographer will or may have sent the transcript to the city. I don't know if we've received it yet or not. Once received, it becomes public matter, public record as required. There was nothing done in secret or behind anyone's back as referred in this post. We followed the law. Mr. Gibson, if you have concerns, you need to attend the commission meetings and let your voice be heard. Have they done anything that improves our city? Not yet. The only one that got anything so far was the vice mayor, with his getting rid of anyone he felt did him wrong. We can only hope that we'll begin to do things that will improve all of Oak Hill. Well, let me say this. Janet and this commission have been working, trying to clean up several issues that were left from this former administration. Budget issues, too many to mention them all. But one issue, for example, was 6 months of billing not being done. The developers should have been billed for engineering, planning, and attorney's fees. As a result of this, the citizens of Oak Hill are now on the hook for about $50,000. We're trying to collect this money, but there is now an additional cost to do that. Compliance issues, etc. The list goes on, and it all takes time to fix. But one of the most important things this commission strives for is unity, fairness, a desire to be a united community working together. The voters in November voted overwhelmingly for a new commission because they were tired of not being heard, of all the negativity. So please stop these negative posts. You're better than that. Put the citizens and the city first. As Rodney King once said, can't we all just get along? And that's my response to Mr. Gibson's Facebook post. That's all.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you, Gary.
You're welcome.
Moving on to citizens' participation, public input, non-agenda items. If you wish to, go ahead.
I have Damian James.
Damian James, 322 Palm Avenue. I've been dealing with the city now for over 5 years. I've still not accomplished anything that I've tried to make a point to. I've made dozens of code violations in the city and nothing's been done to address these violations. I sat down with the previous administration, Mayor Gibson, and City Administrator Con Evans, and showed them the violations. Ms. Evans at the time got frustrated with me, said she was not going to talk about this anymore, turned around and walked out. I talked with the building inspector about power on a residential property without the proper permits. I was told that he was irrigating fruit trees. And he got frustrated at a meeting and said that now that the zoning on that parcel is agricultural. I was able to show him that no, it's not, that it's R1 zoning, not agricultural. So why is this allowed? The building inspector should be reviewing all permit applications and reviewing the municipal code per his license. Code enforcement has been made aware of several violations where the property has been camping on a vacant lot without the proper building permits. This started happening back in 6/24. I've sent an email to Jerome Adams to a code enforcement not giving a formal complaint form for the following violations. He did email me back, he received a complaint, and then he says that the city does not have a formal complaint form. I have the complaint form right here, revised 6/21 of 22. Which the statement is not correct. He also stated that Mike McGrath took the violation and will investigate. The violation was noted as of May 20th, 24, and is yet to be corrected. On February 28th of this year, the owner was notified that he was in need to correct the problem. Why did this take 9 months to address? After talking with McGrath on February 28th, I was frustrated. The employees and the contractors hired to uphold the mini code of the city did not seem to show any concern, so I emailed Ms. Janet, the new administrator, asking for a meeting for the mayor, herself, and I. I did receive a call from the office to set up the meeting, and it would be with Mike and Janet as the mayor was not available. I did talk to the mayor on Monday a little bit about it. I was informed the morning of the meeting that our building inspector would be in attendance. I asked Joe Catagano, vice mayor, to attend since I feel like I've always been railroaded by the city. During the meeting, several violations were addressed, one being the power on a vacant lot, the city allowing property owners to camp on their vacant property without the proper permits. It was at the time Mr. Fisher became a little bit argumentative and when he was proved that his issue of the permit without verifying the proper zoning, at that time he stated to me, I am a one man who only works 8 hours a week, what do you expect? I also showed that per the city's code does not allow an RV or other items to be on a vacant lot without a building permit. That is when Mr. McGrath informed me that he was the one that wrote this code. So I've been dealing with this for almost 10 months and nothing's been done. I had to finally bring it in front of the new administration, and I kind of feel like it was swept under the rug. I'm not saying anything bad about you, I just don't feel like anything has been moving forward on this. So I'm asking again, why is the city allowing the building inspector and the code enforcement officer not to be compliant with its own city muni code? If anybody has any questions, I'll be glad to, sit down in a meeting, but I just wanted to be brought to the attention. I did ask for a private meeting last week. I did get it in a timely manner, but I just don't feel like anything has been moving forward since then. The man still has electric on his property, the man still has a camper on his property, boat trailers, nothing's been done in almost 10 months. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Would you like
Thank
me
you.
to respond?
Yes.
I did have, Mr. McGrath is out on some medical leave, but I did have him write a letter to the property owner before he left, giving him 2 weeks to clean everything off the property. So he's been formally noticed on that. I can't really speak to the building department issues, but the code enforcement, we will be moving forward with that. If he doesn't, if it's still there in 2 weeks, he'll be, the process will continue.
Okay.
Please keep us informed if you do have.
He's been noticed,
He's been notified, sir.
yes.
He's been supposedly notified since June of last year.
No, but you asked if we have done anything since you've gotten with us, and she responded, yes, we have.
Okay, so you have now. Okay.
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
and we'll keep you updated.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Stephanie Rogers.
Stephanie Rogers, 322 Palm Avenue. I'm Damien's wife. Mine is just kind of more into the same situation. I'm thankful for what Ms. Carey said, because the problem we have had has been with old administration. The building inspector, I feel, does not need to still be employed or contracted with our community. I'm here to basically notify the community that the lack of concern that has been happening for many years within the city. During two previous meetings with other property owners, reported that the public right-of-way was never vacated prior to the city. The same thing has happened to us. So the gentleman that came in after you guys were elected had said that the city never vacated his public right-of-way. Same thing happened to us. It took us 2 years to be able to start construction on our property because of this. We had to hire an attorney because the city building inspector was telling us we could not drive on our property. After being reviewed by the city's attorney, it was proven that it is an ingress and egress used by 2 other properties, not a private right-of-way. So these are just things that the building inspector has continually done for years. Our building inspector and code enforcement have allowed property owners to violate our municipal code and ordinances, which are in place to protect our citizens and community. They have allowed for owners to do as they want without following the code. I hear how citizens complain about the look of our city and how Oak Hill is viewed for drugs and illegal activity. When laws are not followed, this is the outcome. When this is brought to the attention of the city, the excuse used by our building inspector was, I'm only one person that only works 8 hours a week. That's a problem. That's how he feels that he doesn't have to do anything because he's only here 8 hours a week. In my opinion, the building inspector cares more about himself rather than following the code that he has license to uphold. While code is consistently overlooked and the fees and fines are not being collected, our property taxes keep going up. Our new administrator has reported on finding several items that have not been paid and are not budgeted for, while at the same time the proper fees and fines are still not being collected. Do you think this might be contributed to the problem? Just my statement. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Viewers cannot hear the mic. On TV, they can't hear.
I'm sorry.
David Lee.
David Lee, 130 North Putnam Grove Road. Every time I come down here, the theme of it is we're broke. We ain't got no money to spend for nothing. City's broke. Well, the scuttlebutt on the street is some of the guys I know in Edgewater, that said the county's trying to buy property on US 1 right here in Oak Hill to put a 750,000 gallon water storage tank. Are you gonna allow the county to come into our city and tell us what we can do and what we can't do? They got 750 acres. They paid $1.4 million 20 years ago on Beacon Light Road. You want to put that 750,000 gallon tank in our city? We want 100 acres on Beacon Light Road, zoned heavy industrial annexed into the city. And we want 20% right off the top of any water or any sewage that comes into our city, or we're gonna pass a moratorium and stop it. You're broke, you need money, force them to pay or tell them to get out. They have done zero for this city. And the main thing they would love to do is take it all back away from us, so we have zero control any part of it. But the last commission sat here, y'all come on down, we'll do anything we can for you. And just let them, they put water down canal, they put water to the school, they put water down the highway. Hey, stand up and grow a set of these and stop them, fight them. Make them pay you. Make them pay us, the citizens. We pay more taxes as a city of Oak Hill than we do if we was in the county. Stand up and fight them. Don't give up. You know, Donald Trump wrote the book, The Art of the Deal. Don't give in. Walk away. Tell them go to hell. Keep out of your city. Pass a moratorium, so go to hell. You want in our city? You're going to pay us to be in our city. You're going to make it worth our citizens' time. Me personally, they could put 30 water and sewer pipes by my house. I ain't hooking to it. It's just a Ponzi scheme for money. And if you're going to allow them to roughshod you in here, that's y'all's problem. With citizens that don't like it, we'll have to leave because we can't stand it. They go up on the taxes when it goes by your house. When you hook up to it, you pay for that. You pay monthly, every month for it. And anytime they so desire, they raise the price on you. It's just a legal way to steal. And if they're going to steal from the city of Oak Hill and our citizens, the city of Oak Hill should demand that they pay to service our city or stay out. And it's a tax revenue for each and every one of us. So our taxes have got to be one of the highest taxes in the county. You know, everybody's going to have to think on the same wave on this. If you don't, they're just going to come in and just do what they want. They don't care. They got what, close to $1 trillion budget? But if you stand up and squeal loud enough, somebody's going to listen. But you got to make the noise. You can't be afraid. If you sit down and sit on your hands, they're going to come right through Oak Hill like a drink of water. And that's a way for this city to wind up getting itself out of debt. Make the county pay 20% right off the top. If they want that particular site there, give us 100 acres on Beacon Light Road, let us annex it into the city, zone it heavy industrial, and we'll sit down and see if we can't figure something out. 100 acres on Beacon Light Road, zoned heavy industrial, can you imagine the tax money that could bring? Mm-hmm. Don't give them something for nothing. If they want it bad enough, they'll pay. You know, let's try to do something for the people and tell the county to pack sand, and they'll eventually come back to the table with an offer. But if I call them the no-cannots. If you go to D-Land, say, I want to do this, and you're sitting there talking to them, they look at you and say, no, you cannot. Well, if you get up and leave, they go back to drinking their coffee and socializing with their buddies. But if you fight them, they're every day, day in and day out, they'll get tired of seeing you, and they'll give you anything they want to get you out of their hair. I've done it. I've seen it done, and it works. But you gotta stand up and make some noise. And I'm not just saying stand up at the county and tell them. You gotta put it on social media, you gotta put it on the news, you gotta put it out there so the people can see, so that they know what big government's trying to do to small government. Just gobble it up. take it over. Don't you think for a minute that the county wouldn't be glad to come in here and take every bit of this? They'd love it. Hopefully, you all listen to what we had to say. You know, it's a way for you to get out of debt without raising the taxes on the people. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Julie Wood?
Good evening, Julie Wood, 273 Cypress Avenue. You all are aware that I do work in Atlanta, and I want to do work here too, be back and forth. I drove all day to get here on time for this meeting, only to find out that my segment on the meeting has been tabled. I don't understand why. I don't think it makes a lot of sense. And I'm going to piggyback on what Mr. Lee said. Volusia County's been trying to take over the city of Oak Hill forever. Not only Volusia County, Edgewater. And anything that they could do, like putting Edgewater sign at the area road illegally, DOT verified that, they did. Anything Volusia County could do, they did, because the prior commissions allowed it. I think that tabling my proposal doesn't make sense, because what I'm offering you is to get back the things that have been lost over the years that were put in place that were for the good of Oak Hill and its citizens. So the more you keep putting something back that's good for you, the less good is being done for the citizens of Oak Hill. And my only interest is the city of Oak Hill. But I have spent my money 3 times to come here. It's not cheap for me to come here. And every time I come here, it's a delay for the person that can help you. As I've stated, I've written over $1 million worth of grants that the city got. The reason the city got that sign for the most, whatever it was, productive city in Florida, whatever, was off of my work. I volunteered a lot. I worked in the office as deputy city clerk over there. I did the minutes. I did a whole bunch of sacrificial things that I did for the city of Oak Hill. And it does bother me that every time I come before a commission to help my city that I was born and raised in, there's always a reason to keep me from doing what I spent $250,000 on education to do for this city. So I'm very much not pleased with the fact that I just got here probably in Edgewater about 30 minutes ago, changed my clothes at my son's house to get here. If you were going to table me, I would have really loved to hear that before I left Atlanta. So I don't know what I want right now. I just feel like somebody has to at some point make a decision for the best interest of the city. And my feelings as to why I wanted to work with you is because I felt that was your interest, to change what's been going on. But I feel like I'm getting more of the same. And that to me is sad. Sad. Everybody else is coming in here taking advantage of the city. It's been going on. I watched it go on forever. I fought a lot of it. I got ridiculed. I spent time in jail, all kind of stuff on false charges just for fighting for my city that my daddy helped pay for to get incorporated, that built this building. My daddy built this building. So I don't know. I want to implore you to make a decision. Now, I know it's supposed to be tied to you resigning, but I don't think it should, because my work is independent. However, all the things you've lost, the working waterfront, the EZDA, everything, you need those things back. And I can get those things done. So I really am probably going to say I don't want to be tabled. I spent my time not getting sleep last night, worrying about getting here. And You can say you don't want to have it, but I want some type of vote, which tells me where your minds are. And then I'll do whatever it is I have to do according to the vote. That's where I'm at.
We just don't have the money.
You just hired somebody new. What was that position you just filled last month or something like that?
Public Works?
Whatever it was. I hear that all the time. But you find it for whatever you. It's like a girlfriend and a boyfriend. They say the person finds time for the person they want. You'll find money to get what you need done. You're cutting your own nose off to smite your face right now to not get it done. You need those things back. You need to stop letting these developers come in here. That's going to change the whole financial picture of Oak Hill for the citizens by letting people just come in here and build all these houses, these high-end houses. It's not going to be the same as it was. And I've been watching it over the years. It's something I've been fighting. But I am displeased with the fact that nobody decided to call me and say, we're going to table you. I actually, if you're going to table it, I'll just take it back because I wasted enough money and enough of my time coming here.
It was just tabled at 6:05. None of us were aware that the motion was going to be made, and then a second, and then a vote for it to be tabled. I sat up and read your proposal all last night myself, and I've looked at it even weeks prior, as soon as we got it. So I've invested time too reading it and going through it. So, but I'm
and
here
your
with the
thoughts
council. I agree with Ms. Hyatt. We do need to get our funding straight, and I also agree with Mr. Catagano that with the enlightenment that we're losing our administrator and we're going to be getting a new one in, they need to be brought up to speed on your proposal too, because that's who we're going to be working with on a daily basis, and I'm sure you're going to be working with that administrator once that time comes. So we have to create a fit.
Honestly, if someone's going to be out of office, out of that office, that actually does free up some funds for the time being. You don't know how long that's going to take, but I'm not going to fight you to hire me. You can hire the next person that wants to come in and just do what they want to do. I don't agree with the people that were paid for the stormwater master plan. It doesn't fit the city of Oak Hill. It was a waste of $65,000. That's not bringing you any money. Here I come to bring you money and basically give you part of what I'm talking about free, because it should cost a whole lot more. And all I hear is, we're broke, we don't have the money. That's not, it's just an excuse to me. But that's your excuse.
Thank you.
I do want to vote, so I can cut this short.
Yes, we already voted. We already voted.
No, I want you to vote to do it or not to do it. I don't want you to vote to table it. I want to do it or not do it. Well, it's okay. I can just wait.
Any other citizen participation? All right. None at this time. Moving on to consent agenda. Nothing for that. Next is city administrator, following up items.
We discussed at the last meeting, the amnesty day where the Waste Pro, allows the
Spring cleanup.
collection of, yeah. So, it normally happens in April and it normally happens on a Saturday. So I wanted to find out from the commission if you could choose a date. The only date I think that might be problematic is the 19th because the 20th is Easter. I don't know if that would matter, but people might have family in town. But the other Saturdays, if you want to choose, then I can get with Waste Pro to get that confirmed. I do need to say that they provide the service free of charge. They'll bring dumpsters, and this year I guess the decision was made to bring them all here to City Hall to make it easier if people have multiple things they want to drop off. They don't have to go to different places throughout the city. And it usually runs from 8 to 2. And then I gave each of you at your desks a list. The only thing that we do have to pay for is the company who takes the hazardous waste materials, because there is a cost involved in getting rid of those. So that would all be dependent on how much of those materials that the community brought to us, but all the Waste Pro dumpsters for the other things are free.
Mhm.
The hours are usually until noon, that's all.
Okay,
You may
well,
wanna do it longer.
it says here 8 to 2, but I mean, you can make that
I
decision.
monitored many of them and I know we left at noon.
Okay,
Doesn't matter though, if they wanna stay until 2 and we get people coming,
Two's
then
good.
stay. We
Yeah.
can do that.
I agree that not doing it on Easter weekend is, you know, a smart thing. You know, we've got the 12th, the 26th, and the 5th are the other Saturdays that are available.
Let's do it on the 12th.
Yeah.
On the 12th?
12 work for you guys? April 12th. All right.
I don't have a problem with the 12th.
Looks like we have a consensus of the 12th.
great, okay, I'll get that set up, and we'll provide you any more information. It'll be a lot easier to monitor everything too, with all being here.
Excuse me,
Mhm.
I'd like to make one public request, can I know it's not in the area today.
What's it to do with?
I'd just like the, record of all expenditures and hiring since January.
You would have to come in and fill out or not fill out, but ask for a request from Janet.
I can call you about that. and
Okay.
do that.
No, you can make the request verbally. Thank you.
Thank you.
The stormwater fee study, I didn't get the report I thought I was gonna get on that, so we will table that until the next meeting. And then the only other thing I have is, I've had a couple of questions from a couple of you about the property that the city and the county and St. John's purchased, the 70-plus acres. So I've given you the documents for that, so you can read those. I'm gonna be contacting the St. John's right now. They're doing their work, which they were allowed to spend some time doing what they needed to do to mosquito control ditches and some other things. And then subsequent to that, the city is gonna need to have a management plan approved. So, I'm gonna try and get somebody either from Volusia Forever, and or St. John's to come here.
That'd be
And
great.
just talk about, what that involves, what other cities have done with this same situation. It would primarily be very passive use of the property, so, trails, boardwalks, that sort of thing. And there, Volusia Forever, who helped with this, can also help with those projects as well.
No, that would be great, because I'm sure between Mark and maybe Carrie and you guys were here, weren't you, when they purchased that and put that through? So it'd be good to have them come in and bring us all back up to speed of where we're at with it. So if we could set that up, that would be amazing.
The other thing under new business is the purchase of a storage building for city records. We're trying to get City Hall straightened out, clean up all the records that are kind of strewn all over the City Hall in different filing cabinets and boxes. So this would allow us to house those as we're legally required to do in a building that meets the requirements. but then it's accessible if we have to get to those records, but then those things that we really won't need.
I think we skipped and went to new business with that.
Sorry.
That's all right. But yeah, the proposal for the buildings and new business,
I apologize.
that's okay. We missed priorities for G1.
So the priorities is just what, I've talked to the mayor a little bit about that. We assembled all the different things that you all talked about in your workshop. And the mayor had a good idea that maybe start listing out what are the top priorities to tackle. Again, I've highlighted the ones that are date sensitive, but just so that we know what of those you want us to work on first.
Well, in regards to that, I know a big thing we talked about over and over again was the comprehensive plan. And I understand that that's going to be a long process to go through and do, but it is a major item that we need to do. So maybe we should put a building moratorium on until we can actually review the comp and land use development plans and get something done and arranged. Obviously, with your having given us a letter of resignation, number one priority is finding a replacement for you. Right now, that needs to be our number one thing. Personally, that's what I feel at this point in the game, but I would like to see us put a moratorium on building and doing anything until such time as we can actually get our comp and land use plan done. You know, number 10 you had was utilize code enforcement to clean up the city. Well, that's just basically having Mike do his job.
I just took what was on your list.
Yeah, no, I know, and I agree that, you know, that's basically what that is. The stormwater, you know,
I think number 8 is a priority that we definitely need to tackle right
the
away.
stormwater.
Could you read that list for the citizens, please?
There's 24 items.
24 items.
I don't know, do you have that to put on the screen?
Probably, as we talk about them, we can just mention what the mayor just mentioned on number 8 is create and implement a stormwater maintenance program to include the requirements of the MPDES permit that we just renewed. As far as the looking for my replacement, I don't know if you all individually have any ideas. The Florida City Managers Association does have what they call members in transition. These are city managers who are in between jobs, and they can come in on an interim basis while you're looking.
I would suggest for us to maybe have a workshop before we post an ad, just so that we can go over what the job duties and descriptions are for that position and make sure we're okay with where it's at right now, in case we want to add something more, or if we don't think something's necessary, or whatever. You know,
Is this for the interim?
minimum notice.
I don't know off the top of my head, but I can pull that up much.
As long as we can meet that, I think we should do it immediately.
You think that's a good idea?
Yeah, it's got 15 days, so that's gonna go by like.
Can we do it towards the end of the week, like on Tuesday?
Well, I'm out of the office on Thursday and Friday, so if you need me here, but I think there's two different things maybe. One is looking for, the ultimate replacement, and one maybe just interim. And the interim people, you might be able to get quicker, just so that I can go over everything with that person. And then, they take the job knowing that they're interim until you put that job description together and, advertise it. You know, they can always apply, but, that would be my recommendation.
Well, I think we should have a workshop right away, come up with a full job description.
So basically,
Get that done.
so what we can do is I can go ahead and, determine what we would need to do and then immediately post it thereafter, for that date, knowing what the conflicts are that have already been presented. So I guess Monday and Tuesday are out.
Next week, yeah.
Yeah, so
This Wednesday, though, is that too soon?
I
Right on, because I know for a special meeting,
You have to do, isn't it 24 hours?
yeah, I think it's, I used to say it was 2 days for a special meeting or something. What was wrong with Friday?
I won't be here,
Oh,
but
that was it, yeah.
Okay. I'm fine on Friday.
Richard's gonna be gone Monday and Tuesday. That's gonna put us all the way till next Wednesday. That'll be half of the chance remaining time right there. When we even get to talk about it.
Are you only putting in 2 weeks? Or will you stay till, what's that?
15 days.
15 days.
I mean, I would be happy to, once you find somebody, come in and go over all the projects and everything, but the 24th is my last day, so if you don't have anybody by then, I'll come back when you do find somebody and, spend a couple days with that person.
Okay, we got a commission meeting on the 24th. So we do have a meeting on the 24th also.
We could do a workshop and then a meeting.
Now we need to do something sooner than
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
because
no,
we
I
need
was
to
just
get a
saying her
res-
last day is a day of our meeting.
Yeah.
You can call a special meeting for this Wednesday.
yeah, you could do
Yeah.
Wednesday. It's 24 hours.
Yeah.
Let's do a special meeting for Wednesday.
Ricky has to do that.
I'm just making sure that I don't have to be anywhere else.
5 o'clock, 6 o'clock.
Are you going to do a 5 o'clock special meeting on Wednesday?
You, Mark?
Yes.
Okay.
Back in time?
Yeah.
I'll make it work.
Okay. Then 5 o'clock Wednesday.
Will that be an open meeting?
Yeah, special
Yeah.
meeting. So somebody needs to post that.
I'll post it.
Later.
Okay. Back to city priorities. Yes, 5 Wednesday. Mhm. Okay. Well, we have the list here. Any other citizens can get a copy of this list if they want to see it too for our city priorities, what we have. And,
It's on the website, it was in the packet.
okay. And there's highlighted things that are time sensitive that we need to get on top of, as far as the contract with garbage and recycling, because that expires on October 31st, so I think we're gonna have to decide whether or not we want to send out for bids from other contractors for the garbage pickup. Or we want to stay with who we got now.
Well, we definitely need to renegotiate contracts, we say, with waste from.
So keep in mind, we're gonna have to have a meeting to go over that contract too, and decide
want me to email you all that contract?
Yeah, copy of it.
Yeah, that'd be a great idea, 'cause that'd give us some homework. And number 13, you had highlighted, get the charter update certified. Is there a time frame where we have to have that done, or is there, how long does it take to get that done?
It will go through Muni Code, so a lot of times that goes by their schedule, but, if you wanna direct us to start that, we can,
Well, we're
that,
holding off on the survey. Isn't the survey what's stopping us from being able to complete it?
The gentleman's working on that, right?
Yeah.
The other day.
yeah, he is. I don't know as if we need that to do the
It's a
conflict,
part of the
right,
charter. It's a requirement in the charter.
Right.
So, you know, but if we can move forward with the things that were voted on, that's fine. But we do need a timeline on that survey of the city, because that was a requirement to be in the charter.
yeah, it's been one thing after another. First, they needed all the annexations dated back to 1994, and we got them all that, and then they were looking for the last meets and bounds sketch, which was a hand-drawn sketch back in 1994.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've turned the city upside down and can't find that, so they're gonna do their work without it, so. He did email me the other day that they were getting close.
Is that a requirement that you have to have that before you could proceed with planning conflict?
Yeah, my understanding is that you would need survey.
So we're on hold until we can get the survey.
Do you all just wanna kinda go over that list independently, and then we can put it back at, either on the next commission agenda or at some point?
That'd be a great idea. At least everyone has a list. Yep. You want to add to it? Add to it.
That's all people do.
Yes.
So how does, this is probably more than Michael, I guess, I don't know. How does the charter update get codified? What is that, what is that process?
So typically, you would submit this to Muni Code, and Muni Code would then, upload it. We would, there's already been the, charter, amendments that have gone through, been approved. We need to have the updated survey, and then once we have everything together, we submit it to Muni Code, and then Muni Code would upload it into their system. But like Jan said, we're kind of at the mercy of their schedule. But there's a deadline of when that has to be done.
Yeah, it definitely should be as soon as possible.
Anything else with city priorities to discuss before?
No, I don't have
Let me just see,
Yeah, I was asked to put this on the agenda, for a discussion on how we currently do the rental fees for the different parks. Mary Deweese is the biggest one because it's the one with the facility, the building. Most every Saturday, I think they're renting that out now. Typically, it's individuals, families, whatever, and they pay $100 for the rental, and then we hold a $100 check for the security, and once the Public Works guys check out the building, we release that security deposit back. The question I've gotten is for a list of the groups who use the building who we don't currently charge. These groups, for the vast majority of the time, are not using the building on the weekend. So they're not taking a high priority time. But Farmhouse Cats, Garden Club, Oak Hill Community Trust, Oak Hill Community Garden, Oak Hill Sports Club, AARP, the Burns SciTech 4-H. Those are currently groups who are having kind of regular meetings at Mary Dewey's that we do not charge them to use the building. And then the other thing is, we do get a lot of use at Chung Park, use of the gazebo, use of the grounds for different things, whether it's yard sales or concerts or whatever. And currently, we do not charge for that. There is some staff time involved in that because typically there's requests for tables and chairs, and the guys bring those over to the VIA hall on a Friday and pick them up on a Monday so that whomever's using the park in the weekends can have access to those. So that's basically how we're running it now. If you wanted to make any changes or you wanted to formalize this at all, you could put it in a resolution to let the public know.
My suggestion is for all of us up here to look at that V3 and table basically anything we want to go over now until the next meeting or when we want to bring it back, just to review and bring any questions back to us to discuss. Like if you have any thoughts about this, making the decision right now based on just it being brought up, I think we need time to swallow it, digest it.
Well, I think it's a revenue loss that we have, and it should be fair across the board. If you're gonna charge one person, you gotta charge everybody across the board. Now, if somebody has a special exception, they wanna do something special, you know, then someone could come to the commission and make a recommendation or make a request for a special exception. But in all fairness, why would you get charged $100, but I don't get charged $100? I don't think it's fair, and it needs to be fair and straight across the board for everybody in our town.
I don't think you ought to charge organizations that are part of the city.
Well, why not?
Why?
Why should they be
$100?
exempt? Why should they be exempt?
I can answer that. Do you mind if I know you didn't want to talk about it.
No,
but
it's okay.
It's really the only time that the commission can actually express their views.
Oh, of course,
Right.
of
So by
course.
speaking now, it will give you something to think about when we
Okay.
go home, because we'll legally know how the
What
other
each person's
person
thinking.
feels
Okay.
about it.
Okay.
But
No, I get it.
Yeah.
it's along the lines of what Linda was just saying. I think this is about that. So when somebody uses the park, it costs the city money,
Correct.
right? So if it costs the city money, we have to really account for it. I mean, it's even just benign use, like whether it's personnel moving things around or just wear and tear, normal wear and tear, it still costs the city. And when you say it costs the city money, it costs the taxpayer money, is what that
Exactly.
really translates into. So what I had mentioned to Janet in a meeting just a few days ago is that the way I see that this whole thing could be done is that we take, on our next budget, we put a certain amount of money, and I was thinking somewhere like in the $5,000 range, but we need to figure out what the, you know, say like what the expenses were for the last couple of years on just giving the park out to, you know, without charging.
Yep.
Right, and so when somebody comes to the park and, you know, like what you said, if it's a noble enough cause, for lack of a better word, you know, then we could say, okay, we can waiver this fee, but we should still take that fee out
From
of
the
that
budget.
budget
I get
and
it.
move it from that charity line item or whatever into the expenses for the city parks.
Nope,
And then
that's
we
a
have a
great idea.
good, solid accounting of the money, and we're doing everything, you know, so that's something that's transparent to the commission. It's not, you know, I come walking in and, oh, this is a friend of Doug's, so we have to give them that for free. You know, we're trying to move away from that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
so that's my thoughts on that whole thing. I do think that it's necessary for us to make a good accounting for, well, if we're giving it away, we need to still account for it because it's costing the taxpayer money.
Sure,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That's
So,
all right.
that's,
Mhm.
well,
And I can see that for a situation, for example, like Charlie's Memorial.
Mhm.
If somebody wanted to come in and say, could we make an exception for a funeral or a celebration of life type thing, then that kind of a situation, I agree with you that it would be a good thing to say, okay, well, we'll take it out of this bucket and we'll put it in that bucket, and have an accounting for it. But to me, that would be a special exception.
yeah, and I
You
think
know,
that should be,
but as far as like all the regular committees and things that have the meetings there, why wouldn't you want to charge them a fee?
it would really be a case-by-case basis. I would have to look at it and make a decision on my own. Like this, and Janet can relate to this. I have a special place in my heart for cats, right? So the farmhouse cats, I would be much more likely to sway that way in that situation, but say like some other thing.
But we clean everything up too. We don't even leave garbage. We take a garbage bag and take it home.
the kitties.
I know you're for the kitties. I want you to be for the kitties.
But that's just how I'm looking at it.
So if I can make one comment on that, when the city charges a fee, the fee typically is gonna need to be applied equally across the board, or else we start running into equal protection issues.
Right.
So,
That's
even to the extent, like, I understand the situation you're describing, but I'm not sure if that's something we could really do once we implement the fee. We'd have to look and see if there's any way that we could avoid that, but the general rule is once a fee's in place, it's applied evenly across the board.
Okay, well then if we applied a fee, couldn't they make an exception? Could a person come before the committee or commission and say, I have a special exception that I'm asking you, would you please exempt it? And then the commission would be able to make a decision that we want to exempt it for this reason, and it's a special reason for something?
So what would, be required in that case would be that special case be decided, ahead of time as a policy, across the board. Like, there will be no fee for memorial services, but as far as just having one person come in and say, oh, based on this situation, will you guys waive the fee for me? That's when we start running into trouble. But if it's decided ahead of time, under these circumstances, the fee will not apply, that's a little, that's where I think we'd be okay.
Okay,
Got-
well then across the
got a
board, I
comment
would
on
say
that.
we charge a fee.
Just one question on that
Yeah.
for clarification. So let's say that, for instance, a person or a charity, 501c3, full on, got all the documentation, they come in and we look at it and we say, all right, we think that this is a noble enough cause that the commission votes to waive that. All right, so then rather than to waive the fee, we don't vote to waive it, we agree to donate the money to that organization so that they can pay the fee. That's my idea with the having the two separate account, a charity account and because it's a donation. And the city donates money, they've done it before, nobody came and arrested us.
I see what you're saying. I guess my only concern with that would be the administrative, side of that would be required to get there. I think that perhaps an easier, as far as the shifting of accounts, bringing it before the commission and everything like that, whereas I think an easier approach would be if you just have a broad category for, say, nonprofit activity, or something like that. We'd have to look at the categories to make sure that we're not, excluding someone.
Well,
by-
maybe
and I
the
agree, and I
finances
think-
of a nonprofit would have to be presented to us, and if there's,
Oh,
like you
that's
said, the kitty
$100.
committee doesn't have
Let's
the
not get carried
finances.
away here, it's only
You know?
$100, I'd rather just give them the money rather than to have to look through all their financial records, to be honest with you.
Well, I'm just saying to be fair to everybody.
Yeah, in fairness, I think is what the general theme of this commission has been since we
Right.
got elected.
Right.
We're looking to apply the rules equally to everybody. And,
Exactly.
So, I think maybe we should just take what we've heard so far, unless somebody has anything to ask, and do what Becky said, and go home and think about it, and see if we can come up with a better idea.
Because I'm sure we're going to have some citizens reach out and talk to us.
Janet, did you have any thoughts on that, or you looked like you were wanting to say something there?
Well, I just think too that, the important thing is to look at whether or not it's costing us any, the park is out there. If you go to, use the park on any given day, it's open, it's available. But on the weekends, it's very, I would say, just from what I'm overhearing, that you wouldn't want to give it away on the weekends, because that's when everybody wants to use it. So if you're gonna give it away free to nonprofits and they book all the weekends, then you're not gonna be able to hold your birthday parties and all that.
But the Friends of the Library does their concert series, and that's one of the requirements for the ECHO grant. So we really have to do something.
Oh, yeah, I
That's a
think I
benefit
was
of the
talking about
community.
Mary DeWeese on the weekend. I mean, I think Tasha told me it's like rented out the whole month of March on the weekends. It's a very popular place for your residents to hold family gatherings and parties.
And I'm for that. Birthday parties, anniversaries, that kind of thing.
Sure.
Yeah, because not only do they just rent the park or rent the place, we also set up tables and chairs at times for certain
And
things.
there needs to be a fee charge for that.
And we pay for the tables, we pay for the chairs, and you have to keep.
Yeah, yeah.
Manpower to set them up.
Yeah, that's mostly where I'm hearing from the tables and chairs is the things that go on at Chung Park. We have to bring them back and forth, because there really isn't any place over there to keep tables and chairs. We bring them over from Mary DeWeese.
So you're saying to charge a fee for, if somebody needed chairs, we'll charge a separate fee for that delivery of the chairs? Is that what we're getting at?
No, I just think it was just in general what we've been doing so far, and why they feel that the fee needs to be assessed to accommodate.
I don't feel like the city has to bring chairs and tables, or we charge another fee on top of it.
Well, we had, internally, I had some discussions just because the people who are volunteering to run the museum are finding that those chairs and tables are, it's hard to have those in that little walkway back there by the restrooms. Depending on how many tables and chairs there are back there, it's hard to get around them. And they would like to eventually use that one wall across from the restrooms as an exhibit. But right now you have tables and chairs kind of lined up on it. And so one thing that was suggested was if we charged a little bit of a fee there, maybe we could get to the point where we could have an outbuilding somewhere on that property at the end of the parking lot or somewhere where we could put a few tables and chairs. That way we wouldn't have to bring them into the VIA hall, and it would be better for them.
A deposit, I think a larger deposit too, needs to be looked at, $100. Is that what our current deposit is? $100 doesn't get you very far, unfortunately, these days, with the beauty of family. I mean, it's gonna get reduced if there's a family.
Right, right. Normally they ask for a separate check and we don't even deposit it, we just hold it.
Right now, there's a fee and a deposit.
Yes, for Mary DeWeese, that's the only place we charge a fee. We charge $100 and we take a $100 deposit. And as long as they don't, tape things to the walls or what have you, they get their deposit back if they clean up after themselves.
Before we close this, we have some citizens.
196 Westbrook Circle, Jeff Bracy. The only true thing you got here that gives back to the city, now listen to me carefully, is that cat committee that Alan started years ago. If we didn't have her neuding and spading them cats, we'd have cats all over this town. You know how many thousands of dollars were being saved by the dog catcher coming down here to get all these cats? Zillions. She puts them back in the county, they eventually die off. I would say the kitty committee should be exempt My opinion, because, no, not because I'm a fan of cats.
You're a fan of Ellen's because she does a good job.
She does one heck of a job. For years, I've been watching this lady. I thought she fell off her truck when she brought this idea up about creating a kitty committee. The hell you want to do a kitty committee for? What are you talking about? Well, after Ellen got going and started doing these neutering and spading of these cats, all of a sudden I seen the colonies starting to die off because they couldn't have little ones. So that lady saved us a lot of money, because people will call you up and ask you. There's a leash law in Volusia County says you have your cat on a leash going down the street. Oh yeah, it's there, just as plain as Jane, Mike. Okay, so as far as the rest of the gang, I think you need to come with a considerably fee and a deposit. But also, I want $1 million question. We're having this memorial Saturday for our ex-commissioner that passed away. Are we going to be charged a fee? Why? Because he was, out of respect for, no, wait a minute, out of respect for a commissioner that served 4 years on this council, I think he ought to be exempt.
Can I answer that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because we want to lead by example, and we already said,
Okay.
I thought me and you already talked about
No, well, wait a minute. Well, if we're going to do it, if it's going to be a charge for him, then everybody in this town is going to be charged. I don't care if it's a church, the Oak Hill Trust, what?
because we want to.
Well, no, because it needs to be done. It equal it down the road.
We want to pay.
Okay, well, we'll pay. That ain't no problem.
And there are a lot of celebrations of life that go on in there. You know, that's a lot of the reasons why people rent it out.
So y'all figure it out. You're getting a big paycheck. That's all I gotta say. Thank you.
Do you want that back on the next agenda?
We didn't actually settle anything, right? We just put some ideas.
That's it. Brainstorm, and now we're gonna talk about it.
We'll make a final decision on the 24th.
That'll be good. All right. Moving on to new business.
Meeting
We
adjourned.
got H2.
Oh, okay, back to the storage building. So, so the idea is to have a place outside of City Hall that we can store records that need to be retained by state law, but that we don't have to access very often. This would be a 10 by 20 outbuilding. We'd put it behind, City Hall on the side, on the south side, so we wouldn't be interfering with any of the water lines or the septic field or whatever. We're gonna take down that, I guess there used to be a dog, a police dog or something. There's a fence in area there. We're gonna clean all that up and take that down and put the building over that way. It would match the same, make sure it matches the same color as the city. There'd be a couple more expenses besides what you see here for the $4,500. We would be putting some insulation in there and a mini split, just to make sure that the records are retained in the way they're supposed to. And it would help tremendously to have that space in City Hall to get a lot of those things moved.
This was brought back up in 19, years and years ago, this was brought up.
Yeah.
And back, I think even when Jeff was on board,
You should
that's how far back this whole thing goes. You know, it's something that's definitely needed.
There was a building back here once upon a time when we had the police department, it goes that far back.
Well, I remember they wanted to put an addition on the Public Works building, and they were gonna, first they wanted to put a storage unit, and then they were gonna extend the whole length of Public Works building, and all those ridiculous prices, so, you know, it's long been needed, so, you know. I don't know.
What kind of requirements do we have for like securing those records, or like an alarm or a camera that we will have on that, or?
I don't know about the the camera, I mean, it'll be locked.
I think there's a camera out there that will see the building as well.
Anything with electric or air conditioning?
Yes, yes, the building comes, plumbed for that or whatever, and, yeah, the mini split would have to, that would be one of the extra costs, the mini split and the insulation, I guess the guys can handle that, but, we'll have to pay for that insulation. It won't be a big dollar item, but, and then, the mini split, and we'll be ready to go.
What does that mean, mini split?
Air,
Oh, okay.
Is the building metal or wood?
metal.
Janet, can I speak to this?
Sure,
Can I make
sure.
a comment to this? Megan Bracy, 145 Westbrook Circle. So Janet and I have spoke a lot about this building, and right now we are out of compliance with our records. I don't know if you guys have visited like the sheriff's office side or not, but anybody right now can just walk in back there and access our records, which is not allowed. So all of those records need to be taken out. They need to be put in a building, and they need to be under lock and key. They need to be put into boxes and categorized, and that was what her and I spoke about, categorizing them for our employee files, for all of our records, and we also need to do records destruction. We have files in here since like the start of time here. So we definitely need to get into compliance with the state of Florida, which I've been in contact with. So this is something that's greatly needed. I mean, she has things in her office and rooms back there that we just need to clean out and go through. And there's no way to do that until we get somewhere to put all of this stuff, because we don't, and we need to categorize everything and send it into the state to let them know, you know, this is what we have, and for audit purposes, so we know what we have. So it would be a great help to all of us. Yes.
Is there a state requirement for any kind of fire suppression system?
So, well, we don't have one here, and yes, there is, and I'm sure that we're going to need one. That's a good question, Joe, and I will have to contact them, because yes, there's probably going to need to be one put in. It's a very good question.
Yeah, most of the files that we do now,
Are scanned in.
taken now are scanned in and
Yes.
backed up in the cloud, so we have those records. The older records would be, you know, the ones that, you know, whether or not we'd wanna take that time to scan in. Some cities do, you know, as they're storing them, they scan them as well, but I don't know if you wanna go through that.
By scanning them, does that alleviate the need to keep a hard copy?
No, not necessarily, but, like you're talking about, like, well, just what you're talking about. If-
Like for emergencies.
If the building blew up or whatever, you'd still have those files.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those documents we have to have.
We have to keep forever, some of them,
5 years, 50 years.
and forever. Some of them are, they never meet their retention. So.
But a lot of what we have already has,
Mhm.
and we can start, destroying those records. Just need to get a hold of a big shredder.
Moving them and populating this new building would be a situation where you would reveal, you know, okay, here's this, we don't need that anymore.
Right.
This without.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
it's not as easy as that. So we actually have to, once we start determining all of that, then we talk to the state and we have to let them know this is all ready to be destroyed, and we can't just destroy it. So it's not something that I can just say, hey, I'm ready to light this box on fire. So there has to be some accountability, you know, and letting them know that we're gonna destroy all these records. So, okay.
At least we've found that we can do the destruction. We don't necessarily have to hire a company.
Yes, we
They
did
can
find
be
that out.
pricey to do that. So we can shred, we can burn,
Mhm.
whatever.
Shredding is definitely the way to go.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just throwing this out for you guys to think about. A 6-foot fence around the building might be a.
That's a good idea.
Layer of security, you know, just saying.
It's not a bad idea.
Maybe around.
Not
necessarily.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve it. We have the new shed.
Yeah, the staff report, denotes that the money would come from the building inspector position that we did not fill because we hired Universal.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any discussion from the citizens on the matter?
It all goes back to money.
Another
But we
discussion?
accounted for the money.
All right. Clerk will vote.
Mayor Taylor? Commissioner Warning? Commissioner Drollinger?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Catagano?
Yes.
Commissioner Hyatt?
Yes.
Concludes new business, moves on to city goals.
I have nothing further on that.
Comments and concerns from the commission.
The library has a concert in Chum Park on Sunday. And it's still cooking, we heard from Lighthouse Cove, at 3 o'clock.
This Sunday, Linda?
Sunday, 16.
Okay.
I'll be cooking on Saturday. I just wanted to extend my thanks to Janet Shearer for being there for the city when we needed her and coming through for us, and sorely be missed. Thank you.
I think we all feel that way.
Yes, thank you, Jen. You've been a huge help to the city. Thank you for doing that.
Years, not just in the last 4 months.
I'd like to make an announcement that the celebration of
Life for Charlie Dean will be Saturday, March 15th at Mary Deweese Park, and that will be at 1 p.m. And that's all I have.
Are we supposed to bring a covered dish if possible?
If possible, yes. If anyone wants to bring a covered dish. Anything else, Carrie?
I don't have anything.
All right.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Motion on adjourn, we've got a second. All right.
Quick on that.
I'm good on that.
Everyone drive safe.